Hello, and welcome to episode 19 of the Fierce Fatty podcast. I am your host, Victoria Welsby, and in today's episode, we're talking about things people get wrong about body positivity. Okay, let's do it. You're listening to the Fierce Fatty podcast. I'm Victoria Welsby, TEDx speaker, best-selling author, and fat activist. I have transformed my life from hating my body with desperately low self-esteem to being a courageous and confident fierce fatty who loves every inch of this jelly. Society teaches us living in a fat body is bad, but what if we spent less time, money, and energy on the pursuit of thinness and instead focused on the things that actually matter, like if pineapple on pizza should be outlawed, or if the mullet was the greatest haircut of the 20th century. So, how do you stop negative beliefs about your fat body controlling your life? It's the Fierce Fatty podcast. Let's begin. Hello. I'm so excited to chat with you today. I was thinking about it, I love making this podcast and I feel so thankful and appreciative of you listening and of the messages that I get from folks who say that this podcast has had an impact on them. It's really humbling and just beautiful to hear that what I'm doing is having a positive impact, that you're listening, and the appreciation. I'm trying to think of a different word. Appreciation. Gratitude. That's it. Gratitude. The gratitude that I have the privilege to be able to make a podcast is, it's not lost on me. So thank you for being here and for tuning in. You rock. So today I have been inspired to make this episode because last night, far too late in the night, I don't know if you do this, but I'll go to bed and then I'll just be like, I'll start listening to a podcast, and then as the podcast is going, I start looking on Instagram and looking at like body positive stuff, fat positive stuff, intuitive eating stuff, and then also the other stuff that I'm interested in, like home decoration, pimple popping, toenail clipping, earwax removal. Basically, I'm a disgusting human being. But one of those things I mentioned is home design. That's not disgusting. But I saw a post there was a home design thing. It was someone's kitchen, and in the kitchen there was a blackboard, and in the blackboard someone had written, keep calm and fuck size 0. And I was like, oh no, so close. I see what you're trying to do with that message. It's kind of like saying fuck size 0 as a concept. You're close, but you're really far off the mark. And it reminded me of an episode that I wanted to do, which is this one, talking about the things that people get wrong about body positivity and loving your body and fat positivity. When I say loving your body, we'll get into why that's not accurate when it comes to body positivity right now. So the first thing that people get wrong is exactly what I just mentioned. So not saying that this person who has the picture of their kitchen with the blackboard is subscribing to body positivity, but this is a mistake that I see people who are like, oh, I'm a body positive advocate, or I love body positivity, and then they say fuck size 0, and I'm like, oh no, because I see people who are interested in body positivity or claim to be a body positive advocate slag off other people's bodies. Now, it's okay to be like, oh, the thins, the thins are doing this, or, straight size people, they're doing, as a joke, being like, the straight size people are annoying when they don't stand up to fat phobia, and, things like that. But critiquing what people with privilege do or don't do is what I mean. But attacking another body size because another body size is marginalized, that ain't it. That ain't it, right? And so I see a lot of people who are new to body positivity or fat acceptance, and they'll be in Facebook groups and they'll share like memes or pictures or things, things like real women have curves, or only dogs eat bones, when it, talking about thin women. And you know what that is? It's body shaming. It's body shaming. And think about it this way as well. You remember, it was probably 4 years ago, when those statues of Donald Trump came out, him, a statue of him being naked, and in the statue, obviously they don't know what he looks like naked. They gave him a micro penis, and obviously he was fat, and the statue was there to mock Donald Trump and laugh at the size of his penis, laugh at the fact that he's so fat, and to show like he is a bad president and he is a disgusting human being because he's fat and has, we don't know, a micro penis. Now, there was a lot of liberal people being like, yeah, this is great, this is so funny, like we should really humiliate Trump like this. And it was actually really fucked up, because we're learning that it's not okay to be fat. Like, Donald Trump is a rapist, a racist, a general piece of shit human being. And the one thing that he's not bad for is having a fat body. And not that we know the size of his penis. If he did have a micro penis, then that's not bad about him either. There are literally 1,000 things that we can critique about Donald Trump because he's a piece of shit. But his body is not one of them. We're teaching other people that it's okay to mock others' body. Even if it's Donald Trump, like, even if it's like the worst person living, which, Donald Trump, close to, is not okay. It's not cool. It's saying that we shouldn't mock other people's bodies, but some people it's okay. And it's not. So that's not what body positivity is. It's not lifting up some voices, and to do that, squashing others. And of course, fat voices do need to be lifted up, but we don't do that through making other people feel bad and saying those other people are bad. What we can say is, though, the systems that say that those people, straight size people, white people, able-bodied people, etc., that say that that they are the best in society, those systems are bad. Those individuals, because of that single characteristic, doesn't make them an automatically bad person. Another thing about that Trump thing is the idea that he has this micro penis and it's so funny he's got a small penis. That's super transphobic. Super transphobic. The trans community are massively marginalized. And what if you are fat and trans, and you have a body that is like these statues, and you see the whole nation taking pictures with the statue, being like, oh my God, this is such embarrassment. Look at the size of his penis. Oh, he's so fat and disgusting. How is that going to make you feel? Fucking awful. Like, awful. Like, you couldn't pick something else about Donald Trump to make fun of? Yeah, yeah, you could. Loads of things. But his body is not it, because millions and millions of people have that body. So many people have what we don't know what his penis looks like, has this penis, and we're making a joke out of micro penises. which affect any human that has a small penis or a micro penis. So we can critique the systems that elevate certain bodies over others, but critiquing, including bullying and shaming, it's not cool. It ain't it. So body positivity, in case you don't know, it stems from the fat acceptance movement. Now, I want to read a little bit about the fat acceptance movement, saying a little about it from Wikipedia, which is obviously the only source that, is important. Joking, not really. So this is what Wikipedia says about the fat acceptance movement. Do you understand what I'm saying? The fat acceptance movement, also known as fat pride. So the fat acceptance movement, also known as fat pride, fat empowerment, and fat activism, is a social movement seeking to change anti-fat bias in social attitudes by raising awareness about obstacles faced by fat persons for the general public. Areas of contention include the aesthetic, legal, and medical approaches to people whose bodies are fatter than the social norm. The modern fat acceptance movement began in the late 1960s. Besides its political role, the fat acceptance movement also constitutes a subculture which acts as a social group for its members. The history of the fat acceptance movement can be dated back to 1967, when 500 people met in New York's Central Park to protest against anti-fat bias. Sociologist Charlotte Cooper has argued that the history of fat activist movement is best understood in waves similar to the feminist movement, which she believes it is closely tied. So from fat acceptance, fat pride, fat activism, started in 1967. In the 1990s, so we have this idea about accepting bodies. In the 1990s, the term body positivity was coined, and the website The Body Positive came about. And that is a direct connection to the work done by fat activists. And so body positivity is a political movement, and it's based around making changes in the world so that fat people, marginalized people, queer bodies, disabled bodies, any type of marginalized body gets more access in the world, is treated fairly, is treated like a normal human being. Now, fat activism was started by queer people, a lot of queer people and a lot of people of color as well. And so there's those different intersections to think about too. And so it's about saying, hey, fat people are people. Let's just treat them like people. Hey, stop discriminating against us. And so what people hear nowadays, and it's not surprising because of the way that Instagram and the media portrays body positivity, it's all about loving your body. And it's not. It's not actually about loving your body. It's a political movement to say, hey, be cool to fat people. And if you happen through body positivity to love your fat body, amazing, that's great. But really, that's not what body positivity is. But it has been co-opted by thin white women on Instagram, and they'll be like, oh, I'm so body positive. And what they'll do is they'll show, I'm like showing you right now. You can't see me. You can only hear me. They'll have pictures of them scrunched over. Their skin is rolled up. It's not actually even any fat. Their skin is rolled up, and they'll be like hashtag so brave, hashtag body positivity, hashtag love my body, and whatever. And it's great that they are loving their body and finding acceptance, but they are taking the words body positivity and showing the world it means that we should be loving thin white women's bodies more. And we already have that message to love thin white bodies because thin white people are the dominant class, dominant body out there. And so it's no surprise that people are like, oh, body positivity is light and fluffy and it's all about loving yourself, and all of that is great. That's great, but that is actually not what body positivity is. So that's just self-love. When I say just, self-love is so important, but it's not the political movement, which is body positivity, advocating for the rights of fat bodies. Okay, so the next one is when some people hear the term body positivity, what they hear is lazy people giving up on their health and eating donuts all day long. Like, it's an excuse to be lazy and gluttonous. This is what some people hear when they hear body positivity. And some of that message is diluted down to hear, folk who are into body positivity will be like, oh, it's all about, donuts, and it's all about saying fuck it to health, and that's what it's about. And it might be part of it, like that might be a part of your journey, and it's absolutely fine if that is, but it's not really accurate, right? It's, if you do want to love your body, you might happen to eat donuts, you might happen to not exercise, but it's not actually saying, right, I'm body positive, therefore I hate the idea of being healthy. Therefore, I will never eat another vegetable in my life. Therefore, I won't brush my teeth anymore. Therefore, I'm going to engage in dangerous activities and die. That's not what it is. It's not what it is. And you see a lot of people coming into body positivity and they're like, yeah, fuck it, I'm never going to do this. I'm never going to exercise and be healthy, and because that's what they think it is. And it's fine if that's what you want to do, if that's what they want to do, but it's kind of not the same thing, right? So it's not about saying fuck it, but saying fuck it could be important and exactly what you need, but that is not what body positivity is. And the idea that body positivity is about saying fuck it, which, some parts of it is saying fuck it, fuck it to the systems and fuck it to the oppression and things like that, but not fuck it in regards to your health. But you can say fuck it to your health too. Does that make sense? Am I making sense here? I feel like I'm contradicting myself a bit. Saying that you can say fuck it to your health, but that's not what body positivity is about. But you can do it, but it's not what it's about, right? Yeah? Okay, good. We're having a conversation here. Okay, so body positivity, another mistake, or even fat positivity, that you need to love your body. You don't. You can be into body positivity and hate your body. You don't have to want to wear a bikini and strut around. And it's not about being confident. So, because it's about elevating marginalized voices, and you support that, but in your day-to-day life, you can't, or you don't want to, or you're not in a place where you can, strut around the pool in a bikini, or that's just not your thing. That's fine. Doesn't mean that you're bad at body positivity, right? You can support and want fat people to have access to healthcare and to be paid the same and to get the same equal opportunities as everyone else, but not love your fat body or be on the adventure of coming to a place of acceptance of your fat body. And you don't have to want to be confident. You don't have to want you don't even have to want to love your fat body. You could be like, do you know what? I just don't like having a fat body. But even though I don't like it, I still want to advocate for my rights and other people's rights. And advocating could be just following people on Instagram, or it could be doing more. So that goes on to my next point of, you need to quote unquote do something to support body positivity or to be an activist. Now, activist, you think activity, and some people think to be a body positive or fat positive activist, you have to do big things. You have to do grand gestures, scary things. You have to take to the streets, and you have to stand up and speak. And those are all absolutely valid forms of activism. But another valid form of activism is deciding that you're not going to say awful things to yourself today, or deciding that you're not going to shop in that clothes store that only goes up to 1X, or deciding to speak up when your sister is saying, oh, that person's ugly. That's still activism, and it's what you're capable of. And if that's where you're at, that's perfect. And it could be just something like saying something to yourself. That's still activism. I see a lot of snobbery around activism of like, unless you're on the streets with holding up a sign, you're doing it wrong. You're not doing enough. Unless you're donating money to certain charities, you're not doing enough. Well, that's a very privileged way of looking at it. Someone I know, I should really mute this person on Facebook, but they have good content apart from time to time getting angry with people, which is fine. You can get angry and saying, why did not more people turn up to this thing, this event, this activism thing that we were doing, when I see you doing other things like, you know, going to grocery shopping with your kids, or getting a cup of coffee, and complaining that those people are not doing activism in the way that this other person wants them to do it. We don't know what's going on with other people's lives, right? We don't know how many spoons they have. So spoons is kind of like in the mental health field, it's kind of like how much mental energy you have left for the day. And so say every day, well, some days you have 10 spoons, some days you have 20 spoons or whatever, some days you have 2 spoons of mental energy, and you know, you can only, that day you might only have 2 spoons, and having a shower might take 1 spoon, and making breakfast might take 1 spoon, and you have no spoons left for doing other things. And so if you don't have any spoons to do these things, or if that's just not the way that you do activism, or if you're just not interested in being an activist, that's fine, right? You do you. I spoke about this in a podcast I recorded the other day. I'll let you know when I have podcasts coming out with other people as in being on their show, talking about Maslow's hierarchy of needs. And I'll probably do a whole episode about Maslow's hierarchy of needs. But basically, human beings need, they need shelter. They need food and shelter. Like that's a basic thing. So shelter, food, and water for them to survive. And then they go on to needing comfort and love and stable home environment. And then when they have all of these other needs fulfilled, then they're able to go into self-actualization. And that's when you start being able to do self-development and try and become a better person. Well, if you don't have a stable home environment, then it's very difficult to self-actualize because you don't have that foundation to be able to take it to the next level. And so if your version of being a body positive activist is a tiny act, then that's perfect, that's fine. It doesn't mean that you're a worse or better activist than someone else who does something that you perceive as bigger or better. Right? Okay. My last point, I might lose some of you because of this point, because people get very angry when I discuss this point. So brace yourself. So my last point is you cannot be actively trying to lose weight, being on a diet, and also declare yourself to be body positive. Let me explain this. So a lot of you will be like, yeah, obviously, of course. And some people might be like, no, but I think fat people should have equality, but also I want to diet for whatever reason. I want a smaller body. So body positivity and trying to lose weight, being on a diet, I see them as pretty much opposite things. It's like black and white, or black and a shade of grey or something. So by dieting, let's think about it. Let's think about what we're doing when we diet. What we do when we diet is we are trying to erase a fat body, or make a body less big if you're not fat. And so you believe, if you're dieting, that there should be less fat bodies in the world if you have a fat body. If you diet, you believe that you're going to get something from having a smaller body, whether that be more health, whether that be more worth. And so you are buying into the lies that diet culture continue to perpetuate. And so you're saying, I believe that if I get thinner, I will have more health. I will be more worthy as a person. And they are lies that diet culture perpetuates. And diet culture is inherently anti-fat, right? Violently anti-fat. It also means, if you're dieting, is that you reject the science. So you're saying, I don't believe in the science. I think that I'm going to be one of the 1%ers that can do it. And you're not looking at the science that shows that dieting hurts people physically and mentally. Another thing that can be happening when you're dieting is you're increasing the stigmatization and marginalization of fat people, even if you're not fat, because those around you are affected by what you're doing in your life. And if you are on a diet, what are you telling them? Even if you're not talking about it, what are you telling the people around you? That smaller bodies are better, that smaller bodies equal health, that smaller bodies mean that you're more worthy, that you have a preference for a smaller body. What does it say about their bodies? You are increasing the marginalization of fat people. And we mentioned before, what body positivity is aiming to decrease the marginalization of fat bodies. And in something you're doing the opposite, right? So it's like saying, I'm a feminist, but for myself, I think that women should have less rights. And, women, they're very emotional. And women, is best if they are caregivers, because really that's not a man's role, And so it's kind of like, but you're a feminist? Question mark, because it doesn't seem like it. It seems like you're pretty anti-equality there. And so a lot of people get really hot under the collar about this fact, and they're like, but I want to continue dieting, and I also want to say that I'm a body positive advocate. Now, of course you can continue dieting. You do your body, you do what you want, right? And also, this doesn't count for people who just happen to lose weight just because, that's what human bodies do. They lose weight and they gain weight. That's just life, right? And so it's about the intentional act of trying to manipulate the size of your body, which we know is not successful and makes you bigger. So that's what I'm saying, like trying to manipulate the size of your body. So if you just happen to become thin, then whatever, it doesn't mean that you're not also body positive, but if you're engaging in activities that increase the marginalization of fat bodies, you can't, have on the other hand of, I want to help fat bodies not be, because you're doing something that hurts fat bodies. So, but what I say to people is, but then people are like, oh, but I think that people should love their bodies. Well, you know what that is? That's self-love. It's self-love. It's just the act of self-acceptance. And that's cool. You can be into self-acceptance and also want to diet. But body positivity is a political movement, right? Does that make sense? Are you picking up what I'm putting down? Are you smelling what I'm cooking? Right? So body positivity is a political movement. And self-love, I don't know if it's a political movement or not. I don't know about the history of self-love, but it probably is political in some ways, in a lot of ways, probably, thinking about it. And so, so it could be self-love, you could be into confidence and or body autonomy and all that type of stuff, but also diet. But claiming that badge, or that badge of honor of body positive advocate or activist, and also actively trying to lose weight, it just doesn't go hand in hand. And you're not a bad person if you want to lose weight. You're not a bad person if you're on a diet. You're not a bad person if you're not into body positivity, or if you whatever you do. This stuff is so complicated, right? It's so complicated, and we get so many different messages. And so it's okay if you're still dipping your toe into it and learning more. It's what really grinds my gears, what really gets on my tits. What gets on my tits is the people who should know better. And so people who have massive followings, hundreds of thousands of people, and they're like, love your body, buy this shit your pants tea. Love your body. I lost X amount of pounds. Especially if they have like in their profile, it's like body positive, whatever. And they're on this weight loss thing. It makes me want to stab pins into my eyeballs in frustration, because I'm like, no, that's not, no. Because why I get frustrated is because people are getting the wrong message of, I can diet my way into loving myself. I can diet my way into making a better world for people who look like me. And the truth is, it's so fucking hard to love yourself if you're trying to erase yourself. It's so hard to love yourself if you are trying to erase yourself. And so these Instagram accounts that have massive followings who are advocating for weight loss and also love your body, it's like the way I see it is there's a fork in the road in your life of, am I going to continue dieting? And the other side is, am I going to try to accept and love my body? Not that that's what body positivity is, but I'm just on this tangent. Am I going to try and love and accept my body? And they're two separate paths, really. Sometimes they might weave together a little bit, but really they're two separate destinations. And it's very difficult to choose between the two, because dieting, if you're walking on a trail and it'll be like a sign for dieting this way, when you reach the end destination with dieting, you're going to have this gorgeous body, you're going to be ripped, you're going to be toned, you're going to be strong, you're going to be healthy, you're going to be so happy. People are going to be looking at your body and saying, oh my God, have you seen her? She looks so good. You're going to feel like you can do anything. That's what the advertised, dieting is. The reality is, it's like that. That episode of The Simpsons where they get abducted by aliens, and then there's a book. They find a book about how to cook humans, and then there's dust on it, and then they rub it off, and it'll be like how to cook for humans. And then it'll be like, they rub the dust off again and it says how to cook 40 humans. And they rub the dust off again of how to cook for 40 humans. And it's like that. You know, if we rub the dust off the diet sign, we can see there'll be an asterisk saying 99% of people will not reach the destination. You know, and even if you do reach the destination, results are not guaranteed or typical or likely to ever happen. You know, tiny little asterisks right at the bottom. But then we see the sign for self-love, self-acceptance, and it says, this is a steep route. This is difficult, you know, advanced climbers only. And you're just like, ugh. And at the end, it says, at the end, who knows? Who knows what's going to happen? But it's difficult. It's so easy just to go down the diet route, right? But what we don't know is actually the diet route too is really difficult. And there's like gullies and there's bits where there's like crocodiles and you have to swing over like Tarzan, and most people die on the way to the route, to the end of it. And the other people who finish the self-love route, they're so much stronger after doing it. So they're my common things of what people get wrong about body positivity. Now, I don't tend to use the word body positivity as much anymore because I mentioned before, it has been co-opted by companies, by thin white women, and it's been commercialized and it's been turned into something that's very light and fluffy, something that's very, very different from what it is. And so I say, you know, fat activism. I don't like saying fat acceptance because for me, like, it's fine, but for me, acceptance is, you know, fat tolerance. Like, can we just tolerate these fatties? I like fat positivity. Fat pride. But whatever, you know, you can use what you like. Like, you might really jive with the term body positivity. That's cool. I did for a long time, and now I feel like I want to state that I'm more radical. I don't want people to look at, say, my Instagram page, and if I say body positivity, I don't want them to think that I don't want them to think that I might be anti-fat, because there's lots of people who proclaim to be body positive but are in fact anti-fat. And we see that in a lot of feminist spaces of, you know, love your body, but then they will not advocate for fat bodies. They will not stand up when there is bigotry against fat people, because underneath they're like, but are they healthy? But is it good for people to see fat people being, you know, are you glorifying obesity? You know, that type of bullshit. So I want to be more radical and say specifically fat acceptance, so people are not confused as to my intentions. And my intentions is to say, hey, fat bodies are cool. Let's just treat fat people like people, which is a crazy notion, I know. I really want to stop saying, I really want to stop saying crazy. I've done really well, actually. I've been trying for the last maybe 2 years to take it from my vocabulary. But I need a thesaurus. I should look at the thesaurus more, right? It's such a word that I keep going back to, and I'm like, no, stop it. Maybe a couple more years and it'll be totally gone from my mouth. The reason why is because it's ableist. It's saying that having mental health issues is something bad, right? Which I don't believe. Hey, guess what? OMG, I am watching a show and I'm fucking loving it, and I think you might be able to get it wherever you live in the world for free. Now, for British listeners, you might be like, yeah, we heard about this show like 50 years ago, but because I've been living in Canada for the last 10 years and I'm back in Europe for a bit, I'm catching up on all of the British shows that I missed that were being advertised at the time and I didn't know that they were on or whatever. But years ago, I think maybe when the book first came out, I read the book, and the book is called My Mad Fat Teenage Diary. My Fat Mad Teenage Diary by Ray Earl. And it's a masterpiece. It's so good. And so read the book if you want to read the book. It's based on Ray, the author, her diary from when she was 16, 17 years old, about how she's fat. She just got out of a hospital because she had mental health issues. And she's a virgin, and boys don't like her because she's fat, and she's really struggling because of her mental health, and she's trying to make friends, and she's not cool enough, but is she cool? And oh, but she's a funny one. And it feels like it's just my life when I was a kid, apart from, you know, being in hospital because of my mental health. But they made it into a TV show. And so in 2013, they made it into a TV show called My Mad Fat Diary, British comedy drama. And you can stream it on channel4.com. I'll put a link up and see if this link works for you, but you'll have to, so Channel 4 is a British TV station, and every station has the opportunity for people to stream. And I always thought, because I'm in Ireland, I'm in the Republic of Ireland, that I couldn't get it because I'm not in the UK. Now, if I travel an hour north into Northern Ireland, that's classed as the UK. And then I thought I'd have to go to the UK to stream. And so if I ever, you know, stay in Northern Ireland, I can, you know, download BBC shows and all that type of stuff. But my sister told me, no, you don't need, it doesn't track your location. And so in the Republic of Ireland, I was able to go on to channel4.com, and you just put in your address. And so obviously say that you've got a British address, you know, like 10 Downing Street or Buckingham Palace or whatever. Probably don't use that because they'll probably be like, are you the Queen signing up for a Channel 4 account? Just, I don't know, find an address and postcode of some random address and sign up and see if it works in your country. It works for me, and I'm not in the UK currently. And there's loads of really good Channel 4 shows. But anyway, this one, so good. I'm into season 2, series 2. Actually, no, series 3 now. I've been obsessed with it. And it's just so cathartic to see basically a representation of my teenagehood, and the frustrations and not being able to communicate because you're a teenager, and the pain of living in a fat body. And my body size at the time was pretty similar to the actress's body size. And it's feel good, it's funny, and it's a definite watch. Yeah, and some people are like, this came out in 2013. This is not new news, but I'm telling you, I missed out on it because I was in Canada. So see if you can download it. I'll put a link in the show notes. Show notes will be at fiercefatty.com/019, episode 19. And also in there will be a link for you to join my free training. And so my free training is the 4 simple steps to love your body. No, 4 simple steps to be confident in your body and around food, even if you believe it's not possible. So sign up for that free training. Oh my God. And do you know what? Something just popped into my head, you know, about this whole episode of talking about like what body positivity is or isn't. I'm obviously like a fat activist, but also I think it's really important to be confident in your body and to love yourself. And so it's just different, you know, things in what I believe. And I also believe that people should be intuitive eaters and heal their relationship with food and all that type of stuff. And so that's just like one I want to say stick in a row of sticks, but that's a really shit analogy. One cake slice in a cake, in a whole cake of what my brain is saying. Making total sense with that. Glad you can understand what I am saying. So yeah, so that's just, you know, one part of what I believe. And I wanted to make this episode so that we can kind of be on the same page about this topic, and then we can move on to I love talking about shifting your beliefs. And that's really important for me, is shifting negative beliefs. And so I want more episodes on that. So let me see what I've got coming up. Episodes I've got coming up. Am I addicted to food? You're not giving up if you accept your body and stop dieting. How pursuing health can be problematic. So yeah, there's some episodes coming up. And I will be having more episodes where I am interviewing people. I have a barrier there. There's some block in my brain about doing that. I need to work on it. I'm telling you. Do you want guests? We had Nicola. She was fucking amazing. People loved that episode. Do you want guests? Tell me. Message me. Instagram me. Email me. victoria@fiercefatty.com. Tell me. And yeah. Okay. I'm going to let you go. Thank you for hanging out with me today on this episode. And I will see you in the next episode, my fierce fatty. Have an incredible rest of your day. Okay, bye.